Hello everyone. This video is going to be about stitch patterns. Stitch patterns are stitches that you can apply to a graphic. So if I just draw a simple circle here and apply a stitch pattern to it, I select the graphic and then I click this here which says stitch pattern, which will bring us a list of stitch patterns. I only have one here for simplicity, but you just click on it, you can see that stitch pattern's been added. Now, a new feature that we've added to the program is to base stitch patterns off of graphics. We traditionally just had stitches, which when you say copy stitches, it will copy just the individual stitches, and then you would paste those to a stitch pattern file. And so if we open the stitch pattern file that we just chose, we will find that the stitches are individual lines in the case of wheat here, and they're of a type as drawn type. Traditionally that's what stitch patterns were only, an as drawn single type. So each of these points is a stitch, and as drawn single type it would just be drawn that way, and that's how all stitch patterns up to this point have been. But now we have a new variety of stitch pattern that we can base off of graphics. So what we're going to do here for the demo is we're just going to draw, let's say, a diamond pattern as the stitch pattern. Or we're going to draw a diamond pattern graphic like that. And you can see that this diamond graphic already has underlay in it. And one of the important things to know about stitch patterns is that the start point and the stop point have to be left to right. So you have to start at 0 and end up at a right stopping point. You can see the start point and stop point are exactly the same or very close. So in this case we're going to just change the underlay to have start and end point be opposite. And so now we have that there and there. So let's say we wanted to also, in addition to this, we wanted to add a circle, and then we wanted to use that circle as, let's say, a fill, and we can see that the start point for that starts there. That's not really what we want, so we're going to put another graphic in between them to get to the stop point, and then we're going to add another graphic to get this to go to the end. And it's going to be messy for this demo, but that's not important for this. We're just going to move another graphic there. And you can see that the stop point ends up here. So what we've done is we've added 4 graphics to our design, and we want this all to be a stitch pattern, let's say. So we just select all 4 graphics, and we go and choose paste graphics to stitch pattern file. By doing that, we basically have created a new stitch pattern, but this time it's based off of graphics. Now that we've done that, we can get rid of these files or these graphics, and we can now apply this stitch pattern to the stitch that we did before by choosing the stitch pattern. Now you'll notice it'll start loading, and you'll notice that test is now here as a stitch pattern up here. So we'll click on that, and you can see now we have a stitch pattern that's based off of graphics. Now what's really neat about this, let's change the color so you can see kind of what it looks like, is that we can actually go and modify the stitch patterns. So we could modify the stitch patterns before, but they were individual stitches, so they don't really lend themselves to being useful for modification. But in this case, we can modify the graphics. So one of the questions was, can we get rid of the underlay or turn the underlay on and off? You can do that by clicking the stitch pattern first and then pressing the edit button. what the edit button would do is it automatically open up that stitch pattern. And I have to go switch to it. And in this case, we can go ahead and turn the underlay off, let's say on the diamond. In other words, we can modify these graphics. So let's say we will turn the off, we'll have no underlay there. And then we just save this like that. And then when we go back to this other graphic, when we open the stitch pattern again, you'll already know that you've changed it. So it will update it. We'll click on it, and it's updated. So we can see that it's updated by zooming in closer, just to show you that we actually don't have any underlay anymore. So that's a really powerful feature. You still have to go through the steps of saving the file and then going ahead and resetting the stitch pattern to that pattern by clicking like this. Because the stitch pattern is stored in the graphics, so once you make your changes, you have to click the pattern in order for it to import the new one.